Hey everybody, welcome back. Mike from Spectre Comics, another comic drawing video. Today we're going to talk about the topic of sketching versus your final image. Page 22 of Spectre Comics number issues 27. We had finished page 21 mostly in the last episode, part 2. But I had finished this panel here off screen. And what I had done was I actually had another character drawn here, and I was deciding in the last video whether I should keep Storbo, one of the characters here, or if I should show the final panel on that page to be the creature here that is getting attacked by Arco, to show him down and dazed, and the next panel would then continue with Storbo attacking. But what I actually decided to do in the next page is to take all of the characters and put them in the shot. So Arco, who had just attacked the rock creature, Spark, who was attacked by the rock creature, and then the rest of the crew that's on in the same area. We have Blip, Storbo, and Risa here. They're near a cliff where the rock creature had come out of the wall, and the idea was, and I purposely put Storbo in the center here on this panel so that we could focus on him, because he's going to throw a grenade, which he pulls out of his satchel here, and toss it over to the rock creature, who is now down on the ground, dazed and confused, and we're going to finish him off there. So Storbo here is getting ready to toss the grenade, and I did do an inset panel to show the grenade in his hand, because he's going to be winding up here to start throwing the grenade. So that is where I left off, and that's how we're continuing. And so I'm just putting a quick pose together for the wind up. And this panel here, I want to show the rock creature kind of in the foreground, and you see Storbo back here, and then we will see the path of the grenade going to the rock creature just as it comes near him. These grenades do not explode on contact, they actually have to be triggered. So I will have Storbo with his little trigger device, clicking it and then blowing up the grenade, which then destroys the rock creature. So that's what we're doing in this page. The only thing I'm getting a little worried about with this page is that it's taking too long to get through the scene, and I'm already on page 22, and I do have a little bit of story left to go, and I don't want the comic to get more than, I would say 36 pages is the max I want this comic to be. My goal is to be around 32 pages. Part of the reason is because the more pages it is, the longer it takes to ink. Going with 32 pages is perfect, and so I'm trying to stay within that. So here's his arm in the wind-up. But what I wanted to talk about in this video was talking about sketching versus final, and I will show some examples from the last issue of Spectre Comics right here in a second, and I wanted to pull up and do a comparison, because the goal is as you see me quickly sketch all of these panels here, as I'm going through my script, and the script is right here, and following along with the script and what I've written. And the script to me is a first draft of what the story's going to be. And when I start sketching, it goes through an editing process. So I'm actually talking through in my head what I'm doing. I refer to the script, but then as I get to drawing, it might change a little bit. I might change where the characters are or what they're saying. This whole panel right here was not in the script, but I thought I needed to pull back a little bit and see everybody in the same shot. Every so often, you need to remind the reader where everything is. You need to pull back, because as we get into the action, we're focusing on this character and this character, or who's saying what, and we're doing close-up shots. But kind of reestablishing the scene by pulling back a little bit, seeing all the characters, seeing where they are in relation to each other, seeing who's speaking. Okay, the first example of looking at a pencil sketch versus the final image, this is Spectre Comics issue 6, page 7. I have 4 panels, and this is a good one because it actually kept super close to the original sketch. I kept the ship kind of coming close to an asteroid here. You can see it coming down. getting close to the asteroid. Here it's taking another angle into the crater that's on the asteroid. So you see that here flying, and here's the crater. And then you have Spark here sitting at his console with Risa in the background, and the word balloon kind of behind him. And then you have Storbo here kind of pointing out something that's visible through the window. This is an example of where I kept it very sketchy, but the original layout was really what I followed for the final drawing. If I had to draw this as detailed as this on the pencil, it would take too long to do the pencils. So going to a tablet allowed me the ability to keep these sketches very sketchy, because I used to ink the pencils. I used to draw really fine pencils, add all the detail in the pencil so I can correct it as needed on the pencil draft. Then I would ink the pencils. But the problem with that, by skipping the step, by going straight to the computer and just scanning in the pencil image, just saved me 2 steps. And it saved me all this cleanup at the end. The next example I want to do is page 11 of Spectre Comics issue 6. Another page layout that matched the final image pretty closely. I did change this panel here because I was showing this little probe here that they released, but the probe gets destroyed in this panel here. Then we have a close-up of Prox at his console. I did change the direction of his head, which head is looking, but you have Risa in the background getting a little nervous, putting her hands on her face, and just following that gesture. Here's another page. This is page 13 of issue 6 of Spectre Comics. We have the first panel, which is an establishing shot. Because we've changed scenes, we're now back on Zanzibar, which is the Spectre homeworld, going to the Great Council so we can talk to the leaders and see what they're up to. This is Kepler, this is Arid. They are the leaders in the High Council that work with the Spectre teams out in the field, out in outer space. You will notice that behind him, I put a skyline behind him. I'm from Chicago. That's actually the Chicago skyline looking down Lakeshore Drive. In the foreground, if you look really closely, you can see Soldier Field in the foreground there. Same with this. This is just a larger image of that. I did add some futuristic elements like this sphere above the building, but this is basically the Chicago skyline. I took the opportunity to throw that Easter egg in there. Now here's one where I changed some stuff. This room, this is the tube room on the Zebulon back on the Spectre ship. This is a place where pneumatic tube can drop down and basically allow transfer between vessels. This little portal here opens up and then a tube extends down and it can go to another ship's hatch. This room was not designed when I sketched it out. I actually did another 3D SketchUp drawing of the interior of this space, and then I created a view, and then I put the characters around. So when I initially sketched it, I didn't know what it was going to look like. I didn't know how to place the characters around, but I kind of knew. I was just trying to get their words and their actions in the scene, but it obviously changed quite a bit, and I added some more characters in the scene. I wanted to try to populate this page with as many background references as possible so you really knew where they were. But then when you zoom in and we hear the characters talking, we're pretty much closely matching the final drawing. Here's another one. Again, the tube room that we were in was not designed yet, so I kind of had an idea that there would be a little portal hatch and that the characters would be standing around. But once I got to the final image and I had that 3D view, the 3D SketchUp model, which I could take an image from to reference into this comic page, that's what I did. I have Arco here, same kind of pose. We have the cutting robot here that's spinning and cutting into the hull of another enemy ship. Now I included this one, and this is the final one I'm going to show, because there was a lot of text on this, and where the characters were was quite important. And a lot of times, this panel here, the characters didn't move, so I didn't bother to redraw it. If you look very closely here. So here you have Storbo, Risa, Blip, Arco, and Spark. And I kept them. What I did cover Arco's face with the word balloon. Word balloon placement is important, but I wanted to show enough detail. I wanted to show all the characters in the scene. And I pretty much kept the characters in the same location, but I changed, they were looking in different directions. They're now changing. There's different word balloons here. But all of these panels are very closely matched to the final, and I really like that. So it is a good reference. I don't change too much, but sometimes I'll see stuff that needs to shift or adjust, and that's the whole point of getting the pencil sketches down. Now going back to issue 7, page 22, this is the sheet we're currently sketching now. I have Storyboat winding up with his grenade here. He's gonna throw it, and then the rock creature will be in the foreground here, as I mentioned. Now I can refer back to the last page that I drew, where the rock creature is kind of down on one knee. His arm is basically holding him up, and he's holding his head. And there'll be stars going around his head because he's dazed. And Arco was here, asked to pull back so Storyboat could throw the grenade. So he's getting ready to toss. He's going to throw. And but he still has his satchel on, so I got to put that on. And his weapon, which is kind of like a rifle, but it's on his back. So that's just in the background. And then you will see the rocks on the rock face over here. But in this scene, there's no need to show anybody else. So, and based on the angle of Storyboat's hand here, I might want to even, well, no, that makes sense. His hand would be down here. If we were zooming in on his hand, it would be originally down here, like that, and he would get ready to wind up and throw. Okay, and then in this panel here, the rock creature is down. We're going to give a little bit more of a close-up of him. We can see his head here. So his head is kind of long and jagged with these, you know, like a piece of rock. His eye is over here, but he does have his shoulder kind of up, holding his body up, supporting his body straight down. And I do want to have him change a little bit from the last scene we saw him in. So we're going to draw his hand holding his face though. I do like to show some jagged rocks on his body, but you're only going to see part of him in the foreground. I'm going to make him a little larger. And then Storyboat is back here. And the nice thing about drawing on the tablet is I can get down, if I have a small character like this that's in the background, I can get down to a really small detail. Like I can get down to 1 pixel drawing, so I can get, you know, some good line work in there, even at 1 pixel. And then when you zoom out and see it in the context of the page, it's actually really, really good because it's detailed. So he's pushing off, his left leg is back, his right leg is forward, he's throwing. The other characters, Arco should be kind of like right here. Kind of watching, he's watching he'll be looking up. He's holding his staff still. He's watching. Spark's over here. And so is Risa. And Blip floating around somewhere. And just for context, there'll be some background references to the cliff. Standing on some rocks here. There's a lot of rocks and debris on the foreground. And again, super sketchy now because we're going to add the detail later. And those are the 2 panels that I wanted to draw in this video while talking about sketching versus your final drawings. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. We're going to get into some more topics. Thank you for watching. Like the video, subscribe to my channel. We will see you next time. Have a great day.